Hello everyone and welcome yet again to another episode of Lunch Guide. I'm your regular host, Chef Andy, and today we are going to be making something very simple. I'm going to be showing you how to make some breaded chicken breast, and we're going to be serving that with some French fries. But before we get that far, I'm going to proceed to introduce the ingredients which we're going to be working with today to give you a better idea of what you'll require for your recipe. So right from the very front, I've got some oregano. I've also got some aromat seasoning and some curry powder. I've also got some paprika there and some minced ginger and about a tablespoon of soy sauce, light soy sauce particularly. I'm also going to be using 1 large white onion, about 2 tablespoons of ketchup and 2 large lemons. I'm also going to be using about 250 grams of chicken breast, some lettuce and tomato which we're going to be serving with. You'll also require some flour, 2 large eggs and some breadcrumbs which you'll be using to bread your chicken. You'll also require some parsley, fresh parsley of course. I've also got some chopped up potatoes here which have already been cut into some fries. You'll also require some salt and pepper for seasoning, some cling film and some parchment paper to drain with. So without further ado, we're going to start off the show by taking a very quick break, allowing you to set yourself up for the show. And when we come back, we're going to just dive right into it. So don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who missed the introduction, we are going to be doing some breaded chicken breast, which I'm about to begin. And we're also going to be serving that very simply with a bit of some French fries. And I'm going to show you how to make a very simple salad from some lettuce, some onion, and some cherry tomatoes. So to start us off, we're going to begin by marinating our chicken. Remember, it's very important that you actually season your chicken before you proceed to bread it. So that it actually carries a very significant flavor right through to the center. So we're going to start that off very easily. First particular technique I'm going to be showing you today is actually how to pat down your chicken. So for that you'll require some cling film, and all we'll do with that is spread it right across your table or your chopping board. And next up, proceed to place your pieces of chicken. So this have been cut into some chunky strips. Proceed to just lay them straight onto your film. You can align them whichever way possible, just as long as you can be able to actually cover a good surface area on your board. Right, once that is done, proceed to grab your cling film, stretch it out a little more, and very gently just lay that over the chicken and proceed to tear. So the idea is basically to help you pat down the chicken without actually contaminating it. So this is a very handy technique. You can also alternatively just pat them on your chopping board, especially if you're going to be making this for yourself. But I always recommend always try and be as hygienic as possible when working with meat. It is very easy to actually contaminate. So very simply, you can actually use a meat mallet. I've got a very small one here, a wooden one, but you can actually be able to purchase some made from stainless steel. You should be able to find those in your regular retail stores. So very simply, using your mallet or whichever one you have, or even a rolling pin will do, proceed to pat your chicken looking for more like flatness. And this particular technique will actually help you quite a bit. It will also help you cook your chicken very, very quickly. And this particular technique is only particularly used especially when patting down thick chunks of chicken, especially if you're going to be breading them, to actually allow the heat to penetrate quickly and to allow for an even cooking process. So proceed until you've got almost 1/4 inch in thickness right on every chicken breast. Right, once complete, we're going to proceed to add this to marinate this very, very lightly. So for that, I'm just going to be using this bowl for the moment. So for that, you'll require about 1.5 tablespoons of light soy sauce. You're going to also add in some of your ginger, add also some paprika powder, some of your curry powder, and last but not least, some aromat seasoning. And using a spoon, proceed to mix everything together. Once mixed through, proceed to season with some salt. I'm going to use about 1/2 teaspoon. Also crush in some peppercorns, and that should actually give a very, very beautiful succulent flavor as well. Right, once mixed through, proceed to unwrap your chicken. And proceed to add that to your marination. And you can proceed to discard the sheet. And very, very easily, using a pair of tongs or your hands, proceed to mix through, making sure to coat all your chicken with your marination. This should take you anywhere between 2 to 3 minutes. And if you're going to be doing it by hand, you actually may even take up to 4 to 5 minutes. And the idea is to basically just very gently marinate the chicken right until all your marination is consumed. Right, once you're done mixing that up, we're going to proceed to the breading. But before you get that far, very importantly, to start your pot of oil. So I'm using regular vegetable oil for frying. You can also alternatively use a deep fryer. It will also save you quite a bit of time. But for some of you who may not have a deep fryer, I'm going to be using a pot so that you can actually be able to see a bit of an easier technique to do so. And of course, one that is a little faster as well, and one that will actually save you a bit of time. So we're also going to heat a pan for doing the chicken. We're also going to allow that to heat up for the fries. So next, for the fries, very, very simply, proceed to begin by chopping your potatoes a little earlier beforehand. It will always save you quite a bit of time. So I'm going to begin by draining the water. Right after that, you will need some of this. This is basically just kitchen paper or kitchen towel. And this I particularly like to use to dry the potatoes. So very simply run your parchment paper through the bowl and proceed to add your potatoes to a separate bowl. To that, we're going to incorporate some paprika powder and some oregano. And now all you need to do is grab your bowl and tossing from the front. This should allow you to coat your potatoes very gently and ensure for a consistent flavor right through. Turn your bowl around and proceed to do the same. And now you can actually leave this on the side, giving your oil a bit of time to heat. And while that continues, we're going to start off another pot on the side with some cooking oil and proceed to grab a big bowl and add in a bit of your flour. Grab a separate bowl and proceed to crack in your eggs. Right, once that's done, using a whisk, whip it very quickly. And now your egg is just about ready to go. Now for the last and final procedure, very simply, always a bit handy to actually set your ingredients before you proceed to do any breading technique. So very simply, begin by dusting your first piece of chicken. Be sure to pat it on the sides of your bowl to get rid of any excess flour. Then next, dip that in your egg mixture, holding it up over the bowl and tapping it on the side, allowing for excess egg mixture to pour off. And finish off by coating that in some breadcrumbs, turning gently about 2 to 3 times, allowing for the breadcrumbs to stick very gently to the surface of your chicken. And you can now proceed to grab a separate plate and proceed to set those aside and proceed to do the same thing for the rest. So very handy also to mention, always do this in small batches. This will allow for you to get a nice even coating, and it will also avoid for you to get any lumps or have any pieces of chicken stick to each other. So once more through the egg. And into the breadcrumbs. And also another tip I could also mention, you can actually alternate eggs for buttercream. It will also give you a nice beautiful crispiness to it, something more like what you actually get from a KFC chicken recipe. But using egg as well will actually also give you something very much desired, but this is only an alternative, especially for those of you who are not able to consume any poultry or any chicken products, or of course if you're having a very low calorie diet. So we're going to bread just one more piece. Just going to find a nice large one, and we're going to reserve this for later. So once more in the egg. Make sure to pour off the excess. Toss it through your breadcrumbs just like you did with the rest. And and basically proceed to do so right to the very end. Something I could also share as a tip, always try to do this right before frying. If you are strapped for time, you can do it maybe an hour to 2 hours before actually proceeding to fry, but always proceed to add your chicken to the breadcrumbs just before frying to just actually reconstitute the consistency and to make sure for an even crumbing consistency. So we're right at the last and final piece. So just to finish that off. So very handy also to mention that you could actually season this chicken breast with many other options. You're not limited to using the one that I used for the show today. You can also use even some garlic in your mixture. You can also use maybe some barbecue sauce depending on the flavor you're looking for. It will also give you a very beautiful flavor right through to the center of the chicken breast. So once that's done, proceed to come back to your pan. We're going to just reheat that very quickly. And while that continues, we're going to proceed to also do the fries. So I'm going to add those in about 3 batches to actually allow for them to cook more quicker and more evenly. So very simply, just drop those in the oil and allow to continue to cook for the fast cooking. And while that continues, we're going to proceed to add our chicken to the oil. It's now hot enough. So very simply, grab your chicken, shaking off any excess crumbs, and proceed to add to the fryer or to your hot pan. And allow that to also proceed to cook. And now we're basically going to be cooking the chicken for anywhere between 5 to 7 minutes until it's actually perfectly brown on even sides. And then we're also going to proceed to finish blanching our fries, take them out, allow the oil to heat up, and then proceed to cook for the last and final process. But before we get that far, we're going to take a short break now. And when we do come back, I'm going to take you through the last and final process of plating. And I'm going to show you some very simple and beautiful techniques of making a side salad. So don't touch that dial, we'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who are with us just before we took the break, we were doing some breaded chicken and some French fries. And as you can be able to see from the cameras there, both of them are done and ready to go. So we're going to proceed to the third item on the list, which is a salad. So very simply, as I mentioned, it is a simple salad. Most of you can be able to do this once you see it. We're going to proceed to chop up, to slice half a lemon. Discard the seeds and the rest. Next, proceed to add some onion rings. So you're going to chop or slice rather just a few rings. Reserve the rest. Also proceed to slice about 2 or 3 pieces of cherry tomato. Now just before you proceed, just a very easy and quick vinaigrette. I've got half a juice of lemon there. Add about a tablespoon of olive oil. Of course, very important to season, so small pinch of salt. Freshly ground black pepper. And proceed to whisk that very quickly. You can also alternate lemon juice for vinegar. It will also give you a very beautiful vinaigrette, but lemon juice is also acidic. It will just do the same. Once you're done, proceed to add all your ingredients to the bowl, including your lettuce as well. See to just tear that very, very gently by hand, and proceed to mix everything together with a pair of tongs. Right, once mixed through, we're going to proceed to plate everything. So I'm going to start off with this beautiful dollop of ketchup. So very, very simple technique to plate with. One large dollop right on one end of your plate, and using your same spoon, just work a semicircle right across. Proceed to build your salad as well by beginning with a bit of your onion. Top that up with a bit of your lettuce. And next up, add your cherry tomatoes. Proceed to add the other slice of onion ring, and top that with the last bit of your cherry tomatoes. Now next we're going to proceed to add our fries. So very, very importantly, before serving fries at any particular stage, very important to season. So I'm just going to lift the parchment paper out, and as you can see, it manages to trap quite a bit of oil. Proceed to add a pinch of salt and toss your fries together in the bowl. And this we can proceed to add to our plate. We can place that right on the very side like that. And now to add the last and final ingredient, the chicken. I actually quite much favor using some of these baskets. These are very much local. They're made from some recycled material, but they are very, very good, especially for visual appearance. So if you can find one of this, you can be sure to use it, or alternatively use a plate. And very simply line that with a bit of some serviettes, and using a pair of tongs, proceed to add your breaded chicken. Once that's done, always very handy, fold out your serviette. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a very simple breaded chicken with some salad and some French fries. I hope you've managed to depict something from the show that you can be able to use at home. From my end, I'm definitely having some fun here today, and I hope you've actually had some fun too. But I will remind you to do check out our Facebook page. Do leave your comments, inquiries, or any particular issues pertaining the show. We're always more than glad to hear from you. So until the next episode, enjoy your lunch today, have a lovely day, and see you soon.